Hi again, this is Ronan Lavellel from Validato, and here is my third takeaway from the MITRE Attack Conference ATT&CKCon that was held in October 2025. The third takeaway is, after detections, focus on protection. There are many things that you can do, both with your tools, but also with the configuration of your environment to become more resilient to the most common cyber attack threat types and threat actors. In this example I'm going to show you here, where we're going to look at the most common ransomware techniques exploited by threat actors using MITRE attack techniques. If I showed you what that maybe looks like in the Validato platform, here we can see the most commonly exploited and manipulated MITRE attack techniques by ransomware threat actors. And what we can do is to simulate these, and I have one that I ran a little bit earlier here, where we can see immediately from our protective capabilities perspective, how we fared in our live production environment against these MITRE attack techniques. So in my takeaway video number 1, I presented the red canary, what they call forever techniques. So the most commonly exploited and manipulated techniques by all threat actors. In this particular example, we're looking at the top ransomware techniques. So these are not from any one specific ransomware threat actor, but from a group of the leading current ransomware threat actors and the techniques that they are most commonly exploiting and manipulating within your Windows and Linux environment for the most part. What we can immediately see in this visualization that maps straight back to the MITRE attack framework is that we can see where we are exposed in terms of our protective capabilities, and that there are certain functions that could be exploited by threat actors that there may be an opportunity to restrict or harden those so they may not or cannot be exploited on certain user profiles. And actually in this particular example, we have simulated a business end user profile, a finance colleague profile, for instance, here. So there may well be an argument to restrict or prevent those kind of business users from having access to things like Visual Basic or PowerShell if they don't need to have access as part of their job. So within this platform here, there is a focus on protection. And indeed, as there is on detections also. So it's important to detect and see threat-based behaviors and activities. It's equally important to block and prevent them also. And you can do this using your security tooling, or you can do this in a more permanent way using strategic hardening. And if you did want to reconfigure your environment, this platform here from Validato shows you all the procedures that you and your team, maybe your IT colleagues, would need to go through in order to implement that restriction or that hardening of that function. And typically this kind of information is available for each MITRE attack technique where you might want to implement that hardening. So a quick whistle-stop tour of how you can focus on protections in context to threats or threat categories. In this case, we looked at the top ransomware. It could be a more generic threat or a really specific threat, like a particular threat actor. But nonetheless, what we really want to do here is disrupt attack paths and attack chains. And by turning this green, we are preventing that threat actor from exploiting these functions that are currently not green. So in other words, they would need to find other attack techniques, which this schematic here indicates that the top ransomware threat actors are not necessarily habitually doing that with the other techniques. So it will be expensive and time consuming for them to do so. Therefore, in theory, they may go elsewhere. So hopefully that was a quick tour and of value to you. Thank you very much.